Look at what happens when a standard camera tries to record a fast-moving object. On your screen, the individual spokes of the spinning top vanish into a smear of motion blur. If you wave your hand quickly in front of a webcam, or if a self-driving car drives past a street sign at 60 miles an hour at night, the camera struggles. It produces blurry, overexposed, or underexposed images. Why? Because for over a century, every camera we have ever built, from early film cameras to the camera inside your smartphone, has relied on an archaic concept called frames. A standard camera captures the world by taking a series of full flat pictures, usually 30 or 60 times every second. Between those frames, for thousands of microseconds, the camera is effectively blind. Worse, even if nothing in a room is moving, if you point a camera at a blank wall, the camera continuously records millions of identical, redundant pixels, burning power, filling memory, and generating massive digital noise. It is a brute force approach to sight. And yet, right now, as you watch me, your eyes aren't taking 60 full frame snapshots per second. Your retinas don't send raw, uncompressed bitmap images to your brain. Biological vision works on an entirely different physical principle: asynchronous event detection. Welcome to Arya Nova. I'm Arya, and today we are going to look past standard optical sensors to explore a sensor breakthrough that is quietly revolutionizing robotics, space tracking, and computer vision. Event-based cameras, also known as dynamic vision sensors or silicon retinas. We are going to examine the physics of how human retinas process light, unpack the log-luminance mathematics behind event pixels, and see how the codes of neuromorphic engineering are teaching machines to see at the microsecond scale. To understand where event-based cameras come from, we have to travel back to the late 1980s to Caltech, where a brilliant neuroscientist named Misha Mahewald, alongside computing legend Carver Mead, created the world's first silicon retina. They asked a fundamental question: why do standard image sensors require megawatts of data processing to navigate a room when a fly can dodge a fly's water using a fraction of a milliwatt? Answer lies in biological architecture. In a human retina, photoreceptor cells don't wait for a central clock to shutter an image. Instead, when light hits a ganglion cell, it only sends a nerve impulse, a physical spike, if there is a change in illumination. If a pixel sees constant light, it stays completely silent. Decades later, building on Mahewald's foundational work, researchers like Professor Toby Estelbruck at ETH Zurich and Innovation commercialized the modern dynamic vision sensor, or DVS. Instead of a traditional shutter, every individual pixel on an event camera chip operates independently, continuously, and asynchronously. It is an event-driven sensor. Let's look at the actual physics and mathematics that make an event camera work. In a traditional CMOS camera sensor, each pixel measures absolute light intensity I at a fixed time t, outputting an 8-bit digital value between 0 and 255. In an event-based camera, every pixel monitors the logarithmic intensity of light. The pixel stores its last recorded log intensity value. It continuously monitors the incoming stream of photons. An event is triggered at pixel coordinate at precise microsecond timestamp if and only if the change in log intensity reaches a predefined contrast threshold C. When that threshold is crossed, the pixel outputs a microscopic data packet called an event. Don't let the calculus distract you from the physical magic of what this means. If nothing moves in front of the camera, the sensor outputs 0 bytes of data, means 0 energy wasted. But the millisecond an object moves, a drone propeller spinning, a ball flying, or a star tracking across the sky, only the specific pixels affected by the motion fire off microsecond streams of events. Instead of generating heavy 30 frame per second video files, the camera generates a continuous sparse temporal stream of physical motion data. To truly grasp how superior this physics is, consider the matrix. First, temporal resolution. A standard camera shoots at 60 frames per second, meaning it has a latency of about 16 milliseconds between frames. An event-based camera has a temporal resolution of 1 microsecond. This is equivalent to recording video at over 1 lakh frames per second. Second, dynamic range. Standard cameras have a dynamic range of around 60 to 70 decibels. If you point a camera out of a dark tunnel into bright sunlight, the entrance blows out into pure white while the tunnel turns pitch black. An event camera has a dynamic range exceeding 140 decibels because every pixel evaluates logarithmic light changes independently. It can simultaneously track motion inside deep dark shadows and under blistering direct sunlight without overexposing or underexposing a single pixel. Third, zero motion blur. Because pixels don't integrate photons over a fixed shutter exposure time, motion blur physically cannot exist. This brings us to one of the greatest quotes in modern robotics research, Professor Davide Scaramuza, head of the Robotics and Perception Group at the University of Zurich. Davide Scaramuza recognized that the bottleneck in autonomous drone flight was not motor power or aerodynamics, it was visual latency. When an autonomous drone flies through a dense forest at 40 miles an hour, waiting 16 seconds for a standard camera frame to process can be the difference between clearing a tree branch or crashing into it. By equipping drones with event-based sensors and pairing them with spiking neural networks, Scaramuza's team demonstrated drones capable of dodging obstacles thrown at them at high speed, executing acrobatic flips in near pitch darkness, and navigating complex spaces with sub-millisecond reaction times. Companies like Profici, in partnership with Sony, are now manufacturing high-resolution commercial event sensors, placing silicon retinas into mobile devices, industrial automation, and space tracking systems. Astronauts and astronomers are using event-based cameras to monitor space debris orbiting Earth at thousands of kilometers an hour, tracking microscopic satellites across bright stellar backgrounds where traditional telescopes fail due to glare. Think about the broader shift this represents. For over a century, we forced our digital systems to preserve the universe through rigid artificial snapshots. We tried to compress continuous physical time into flat digital pictures. Event-based cameras represent a shift back to physical reality. They show us that when we stop forcing machines to copy human media formats like film and instead engineer sensors that mirror the continuous event-driven physics of biology, we unlock capabilities that far exceed human limitations. We move from capturing static pictures of the past to streaming the continuous flow of the present. When I look at the work of Misha Mahavolt, Tobias Delbruck, and Davide Scaramuza, I am reminded of why I love exploring deep technology. True innovation isn't about adding more megapixels or building bigger screens. It's about fundamentally rethinking the physical assumptions we have taken for granted for generations. By teaching silicon to see in continuous time, we are giving autonomous machines the vision they need to navigate our chaotic world safely. I'm so glad you're here with me on Arya Nova, exploring the physical and mathematical frontiers that are genuinely transforming our world. What do you think about event-based vision? Do you think silicon retinas will completely replace standard cameras in self-driving cars and smartphones? Or will we always need traditional frames for human eyes to look at? Let's discuss it in the comments below. I'm Arya and I'll see you in our next deep dive.